think of all the cell towers you drive around today or yesterday or next week. Are they more valuable today than a year ago, than 10 years ago, based upon what the backbone they are for existing services they provide to the carriers and think of all the apps on your phone. If that cell tower went down today, would you be able to use all those apps on your phone in that area? No.
So it seems to me like we already have so many cell phone towers. You're telling me that we need 2.5 times more in 5 years?
Yes.
That's insane.
The simple answer is yes. The only
So,
way you build out the 5G network is densification. That's
so
it.
densification. Okay, so when I hear that, there's an opportunity somewhere. What is from an investment perspective? What's the opportunity there for investors?
Well, there's twofold. For the real estate property owner, you're going to have opportunities, especially in certain urban areas and certain areas that right now don't have cell sites on them, to lease space not only on the ground but also on the sides of pieces of buildings and things of that nature, because they're going to have so many sites. When I say 5G sites, a traditional cell tower, you have a range depending on the area of about a mile, let's say. A 5G site has a range of about 300 to 500 feet. Okay. So that's when I say densification, you're having to put these very close. So it's kind of, you run up against a little border. Let's say I'm going to the city of Atlanta. The city of Atlanta allows me to put in their right of way up against their existing light poles. But I get to a spot that I need to put on an apartment building, a commercial retail building, things of that nature. I need to put these additional sites to get my densification where I need to be. That's number one.
What about becoming an operator of cell phone towers? Could I go out and say, Hugh, I want to buy a dozen cell phone towers for cash flow. Find me 12. Like, is
Yes.
that a thing?
Yeah, you can do that. There's opportunities. There's a lot of that going on now because what's happened is they're catching up the real estate market. What's happening is they're transitioning real estate investors starting to be cell tower investors. And what I mean by that is the same thing you're discussing is they'll say, look, we can look at the long-term cash flows here. We understand the value of buying at a certain amount and being able to get that long-term cash flow, and then maybe even flipping those. So if I buy at 10, sell at 15, I've made my 5. Or if I buy at 10, collect the revenue from that lease, it provides me a certain rate of return. So that happens a lot, and that's happening more and more. You're seeing these small investors starting to get bigger and bigger and starting to go out and pursue cell tower landlords and say, look, I will buy this out, and I'll cash this out, especially in the COVID-19 era where cash flow is more important, where the people need this money up front. That's happening more and more.
It sounds to me like a model might be to, buy buy existing cell tower and then bring you in to basically renegotiate the lease and increase that. Like, is that a thing? Is that a model? And if so, how does that work?
Sure, that's a great question. It's the situation you can go buy a property with an existing cell tower on it or the rights to the cell tower individually outside the property itself. And let's say you go buy it in for the rent's $1,500 a month, and we try to renegotiate that and jump that rent, and you paid based upon a valuation of $1,500 a month. We go back and renegotiate, move that rent up to $3,000 a month because there's a lot of margin there that goes undetermined or unfound, and we're able to do that. So it's really a big market. What we're seeing is a lot of real estate investors are starting to target these cell tower agreements and seeing the value to get those, acquire those, but also see the upside potential as well.
How do you negotiate a lease, right? Because if you don't know anything, they'll probably take advantage of it because, what, $500 a month? That sounds great, right? So, what are you looking for here?
You look at this and the first thing we get asked when somebody calls us up and they say, hey, I'm in Dallas, Texas. Somebody's approached me. What are the market rates in this area for a cell tower, right? And we tell them, don't do that. Don't try to treat this as a real estate transaction. You don't look at it based upon other people are getting paid. You look at it based upon the value of that one site. And so you have to look at it from the perspective of this being a utility agreement or a telecom agreement rather than a real estate agreement. So you look at it from that determination. You determine what the value they're going to be getting on your property on day one. And secondly, what would be the detriment to them if they had to go somewhere else? Don't worry about what you're being offered. Understand what you're offering the other side, because the sales pitch from a cell tower company or wireless carrier is, hey, we can go somewhere else. Hey, we have all these alternatives. Hey, you're getting money for nothing. But if you really understand what you're giving them, then you can negotiate the best deal today and long term.
How do you know if you're sitting on like a gold mine spot for these companies? I mean, how do you have that kind of leverage on them?
To be honest with you, as I said before, you kind of have to level the playing field because that's their biggest advantage. In any negotiation, if I know more than you, I'm going to get the better end of the deal most of the time, right? So they're coming into it. They do this every day in, day out, day in, day out. You're walking into it. This may be the only time you ever negotiate a sell side agreement, and you're walking into it and going, well, how do I know what the value is? That's why you have to, again, level the playing field by being able to get people who understand to what they're getting out of the deal, that being the cell tower companies. So you really have to kind of look at this again from the telecom perspective and get expertise on that side.
Want to hear the full podcast? Then just point to your favorite podcast app and search for Apartment Building Investing, and you'll find me.